I don't know. What do you think, Henry?
I reckon you should show it.
We're doing it. So get ready.
So the Snyder Cut of Justice League is finally getting finished and coming to HBO Max. Everyone is fully behind this and excited after 3 years of asking for it.
Release the fucking Snyder Cut.
Now this is all well and good and hell, I can't wait for it, but I want to pause for a second and rewind the clock back to 2016. In 2016, just about everybody had a very different opinion on Zack Snyder. After Batman vs Superman released, many claimed that it was a mess, it had a nonsensical story, and that he not only got Superman wrong for the second time, but he also ruined Batman. The backlash was so major that Warner Brothers started to change their direction for future DCEU movies, trying to distance themselves away from Batman vs Superman, and also Suicide Squad.
All of that chit-chat's gonna get you hurt.
Oh my god.
It was a very rough year for DC and Zack Snyder. Now let's fast forward back to the present. How does Zack Snyder go from being the most hated filmmaker in the comic book world to having an army of supporters who want to see his vision for Justice League come to life? This turnaround of positive attention has been boggling my mind because I remember the negative reviews and all the hate Zack got for both Batman vs Superman and Man of Steel. So seeing this complete 180 just fascinates me. I'm going to attempt to explain where this massive amount of positive attention came from and why so many people are choosing to support Zack Snyder instead of bury him. First, let's go back to what people consider the biggest superhero film botch in history. Or was it? Batman vs Superman released to mostly negative reviews and people were just tearing it apart. But a few months later, it released on DVD and Blu-ray and was advertised that there was an uncut version of the movie called the Ultimate Edition, with 30 minutes of extra footage, taking the movie from 2.5 hours to 3 hours. And this got many fans curious, and through the power of the internet and word of mouth, many started to learn that the uncut version was not only better than the theatrical version, but it changed the movie from a choppy, confusing, hard to follow mess to pretty fucking good. It fixed a lot of the plot and pacing issues, adding more details to the story and for characters to help explain their motives, and just make it for a much better experience overall. Then word started to spread that this was the true version and it was far better than what we got in theaters. This was the first step into the tides turning for Zack Snyder. We all know that Justice League is considered to be one of the worst superhero movies of all time, and given what happened behind the scenes, it's no wonder the movie came out the way it did. Zack Snyder's daughter passed away while he was working on the movie, and after trying to work through it, he ended up stepping away from the project. Warner Brothers, not wanting to delay the release, brought in Joss Whedon to get the movie out by the deadline. He had to reshoot, rewrite, and re-edit basically the entire movie. Using the footage that he reshot and what Zack Snyder already finished, he basically created his own movie out of it. Unsurprisingly, it released to disastrous reviews, and it didn't make as much money as DC and Warner Bros. Were probably hoping. So with Zack not being able to finish Justice League, and with the word of his full version of Batman vs Superman actually being good spreading more and more, it created a perfect storm of fans wanting to see the Snyder Cut, the full version, the real version. Also, many felt that there was no way that the Snyder version could be any worse than what we actually got. But there's one more thing that I believe plays a part. Marvel is a juggernaut film franchise and one of the most successful in movie history. The MCU is a very impressive accomplishment and I can't argue against that. But by late 2017 and early 2018, many people were growing tired of the MCU films. They started to feel samey and even mediocre. A lot of people wanted something different at this point, and this is when a lot of comic book fans looked back at Batman vs Superman and Man of Steel and really started to appreciate what Zack was going for. Many started to actually like these versions of the characters along with the look and style and feel. And even if they didn't love the movies, they really liked the ideas and concepts. It's kind of ironic, these movies were getting bashed for not being like Marvel, but years later they're getting praised for not being like Marvel. Now, Batman vs Superman wasn't what people expected at the time because many had in their head what a superhero movie should be like, due in large part to seeing so many Marvel films. It was a very different movie in terms of style and tone and presentation, and many people just weren't used to it and just didn't like it because it felt so different to what they were used to. Maybe if it would have came out just a year or two later, then maybe it would have been seen as a breath of fresh air to break the mundane feel of Marvel. With franchise fatigue starting to set in, people have been looking for something different in their superhero and comic book movies. So people now are looking back on these films and they just want more of them. And there you have it. Those are the main reasons that I think Zack Snyder went from being really hated to having an army of support rallying behind him. And I'd also like to mention that there are already a large portion of the fans that really enjoy Zack Snyder's films. Hell, I'm one of them. I like a lot of Zack Snyder's movies, including these ones. And if it wasn't for the fans, we wouldn't be getting the Snyder cut of Justice League. So good job, internet. We did something good for once. If there are any more reasons that you can think of, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Or if you disagree with some of my points, go ahead and leave a comment and let me know why. Thanks for watching. I'm Tex, and I'll catch you next time.